thank you so much for joining. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for your partnership on the stage, but also for your partnership as part of the Workday ecosystem. It is our absolute pleasure to welcome these eminent people to the panel. I'm looking at the collective wisdom of the panel to build on the theme that we've talked about so far, which is to explore new horizons and to dive deeper into the new realities and perhaps even more importantly, the opportunities that all of us face as we're going through these very interesting, challenging and interesting economic times. So, Jonathan, we'll kick this off with you, please, if you don't mind. Right? And we'll start with a strategy question and we'll build towards execution. Okay? So change, as we've heard, seems to be the only predictable constant as we're going through things, and we hear that companies that have data, and as Raghu said, insights, have a better chance of emerging stronger. From your point of view, in having worked with companies, what consideration should companies have as they build their strategies to come out stronger from these economic times?
So, hello, good morning to everyone, and welcome to Workday Elevate. Change being such a constant, I think we should all pause in a second, because I think most of us are quite change fatigued, both professionally and personally. So I think the margin for embracing change as you explore new horizons becomes a little bit more discounted. I also want to invite and challenge the thinking, because each of you will represent the business, whatever functions. Importantly, all of us here should be change ambassadors. So this is going to be critical, because as you continue to advance and embrace your digital transformation efforts, our ability to make sure change is adequately managed, and it starts with the clarity of vision all the way up. Where's the North Star? Knowing your why, and we just talked about and heard meeting people, the various business and users where they are, and being very clear about the reasons behind the change. There's another real challenge here is, as you embrace and consider Workday and move on to the cloud, not everything's moving onto the cloud. The cloud systems like Workday, it becomes more challenging to talk to your legacy systems. So there is going to be an interim period, perhaps a long period of challenge to actually get to the end state, providing you have the clarity of vision and progressively pacing that change well. You may need to plan for additional capacity. I think Kerry talked about that, in order to make sure the workforce is well supported.
Super. Well, thank you, Jonathan. That's awesome. Karen, I'm going to move to you. Now, IBM meets a lot of customers. What advice do you give them on the same topic, and what are you hearing from them in return?
Yeah, I think I do agree a lot with Jonathan that I think we need to start with the vision, basically. And I think we're living in a world that things keep changing, and we hear about the machine learning in Workday just now, and I think generative AI, everyone on this floor should have heard about it by now. The ChatGPT, Baidu's Ernie, it's kind of taken the world by storm, and everybody is asking us, like, so what should we do about it? Should we just try to do some POC, to do some MPV to see how that change? Yeah. I think we do feel like, in the sense that it should be a little bit more holistic. We need to think about what is the experience we wanted to change? What is the problem statement we wanted to really tackle? IBM Research also recently done a survey that we surveyed 2,500 executives across 16 countries, and everyone kind of said they would double their spend on AI by 2024. So what does that actually mean? In that sense, I think zooming into HR, for example, we do have a lot of example of using AI to really change it. How do we really change it from hiring to retention to learning? Well, we do have a lot of examples in helping our clients to do it. Maybe to give a bit more context and examples, we can share a bit more on that. For example, in hiring, how do we use AI in building the job profile competency? In matching the candidate that you're recruiting to give better insights into who you should recruit. And the journey doesn't stop there. Once you hire them, how you actually help them to recommend learning. So make it like a Netflix, TikTok, what you might like, what you actually should learn. And then from the people manager perspective, how do you retain the critical talent? So for example, IBM embedded AI in our retention critical analysis model as well, that we will have a tactical score that based on the different data from the hire, from the career growth, from different data points, what is the risk of the attrition risk of that employees, and provide proactive, insightful actions for people manager. And we also, for example, have compensation advisor, which is well integrated with Workday. IBM is a client of Workday as well for the HR system, that provide recommendations to people manager. What is the compensation package that we should adjust for that employee based on the career growth trajectory, performance rating, and also external data from market data as well. So those are things that we can embed in our processes. But back to the point that the changes have to be purposeful, what we are aiming for, but not just to try out some new things.
Yeah, no, thank you, Karen. That's awesome. Changes need to be purposeful and they need to be managed holistically. So thank you for sharing the examples that you did. Michael, we also hear about the need for agility, flexibility, speed in managing change and managing the external environment. How, in your opinion, can organizations balance that need for speed while maintaining their need for stability and staying true to their purpose, to their cause, and yet emerging stronger in these times?
First, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're having a good conference, and it's really happy to meet all of you. That's a big question. Yeah. But let me just say that change comes in different forms. Many of the things that we're here at the conference today, we're talking about innovation, change that's caused about innovation to stay relevant. But organizations that I work with, what a very, very interesting perspective is all of the changes in reaction to things that are not planned, such as organizations that are coming out of the pandemic. And never have I seen what's relevant in these circumstances because of a unfortunate circumstance, what are important and how organizations have reacted to that change. Number one is culture. Leadership, the culture, whether or not an organization already embraces the culture of change and the leaders are actually aligned, and that sentiment is actually really spread throughout the organization. So there's already a culture and a behavior of the ability to be able to adjust. Second, whether or not the organization have certain functions that are in place that oftentimes people sit and what do these people do? So strategic planning, a transformation office, workforce planning, talent management, these functions that are in place to really help navigate the changes, and then more importantly, more relevant actually to the technology and digital aspect of things, which is how well do you know your data? How well unified do you have the metrics in order to make the proper decision in a time of a challenge? Which pieces of the workforce are behaving a certain way? Who desire to move into a different direction? Yeah. How do I adjust my systems, my processes from the back office to really support the front office? So the organizations that are successful in these particular areas, we found to really embrace. So now, if you can do that, then planned innovations and change becomes a lot easier.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. That's awesome. And Kelvin, before I pose the next question to you, anything you'd like to add on to this?
I guess it's to chime in from the HR perspective. I've been working with Workday since 2012, so I've served many organizations of different sizes and shapes. Change is constant, there's no doubt about it, but what is the constant, at least for the client that we have served with Workday, is the emphasis on focus on people. Yeah. A lot of Workday clients, they choose Workday for different reasons. I mean, for conglomerates, to them, succession planning is super important. They really need to have clear visibilities on the talent pipeline for the leadership. We have also had clients here in Hong Kong who are operated out of Hong Kong, but they have operations across in North America, in the US. to them, workforce planning is super important. And without a system such as Workday, they have no idea, where those headcount planning are happening across the globe. But last but not least, I think most of my clients are CHRO, C-suite. To them, they say we are 1,000 people, but in about 1 to 2 years' time, we're going to have 1,500 people in, say, 4 additional markets. The current team of, say, 10 HR, we cannot double, just double the headcount just because the workforce has been doubled. So again, they need to find a way to automate some of the existing processes, introduce data discipline into so that they will be able to drive HR analytics out of Workday. So it's amazing. Workday as a solution can serve so many different purposes, but the core has always been focused on people.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Keep the mic, Kelvin.
Okay.
I'll ask another question. Peter Drucker said, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." Right? Paraphrasing that, I think it's fair to say that execution and implementation probably do the same. And
Yeah.
you're kind of pivoting from strategy to implementation.
Yeah.
Right? In your experience, what benefits have companies seen by implementing technology, in driving these changes and really emerging more resilient and stronger?
Yes. So a lot of organizations come to Deloitte for different reasons. Some of them, they say, we just need you guys to help us deploy Workday. But we have also organizations, they say, what has taken us so far in the last 10 years has been doing well, but we are not so sure whether that's strong enough for us for the next 10 to 15 years. Then we look at it in a more holistic way. But we always start with what are the objectives you're trying to address, or the other way to look at it is what are the pain points you want us to address, and start with those pain points. Yeah. And oftentimes, when we kind of open up the can of worms, you start to tell us about, we have so many, different region ones that HR in different ways. At the head office, we have no visibility to that. We have so many papers flying around. We have workers out there doing their construction work, but we don't know how to check against their annual leave because a different system, and that drives potentially, occupational health safeties. So we always list out those holistic key objectives we are trying to do, and then one by one, trying to figure out what are the potential solutions and what are the parts of the technology that we can help them with. For the process policies, sometimes you might need to change, that's outside system. But the technology part, which is our core competence, and Workday is where coming into play, that's where we focus a lot on. And the lessons learned from Carrie mentioned earlier, those are true lessons learned that we must,
Yes.
remind ourselves to do it again and then, test again and then. And ultimately, I think with a clear objective, clear pain point you want to address, with the right solution, process, people, and technology, I think ultimately you will emit stronger with the solution that you choose. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's always the intersection of people and technology, and you're right, Carrie, she reminded us well on testing, and testing again before we move forward.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelvin. Sarang, over the past few years, Workday has been investing in enhancing our partner ecosystem. I know this audience is a beneficiary of our increased, enhanced ecosystem. Can you speak a little bit more about just the benefits of doing that?
Sure. Our partners are really key differentiators for us if you're looking at and enabling us for the success in this incredibly challenging industry right now, in a cost competitive industry. And I think right from our partners who are global system integrators to our partners who are boutique partners, they have been really instrumental as to where we are today. But as we go forward, we want to make sure that we work together with our partners to enable our customers to achieve optimization and also accelerating some of the outcomes that they're looking at. So we are focusing with our partners on 3 things, basically. So number 1 is building package solution, and Raghu did mention and touch base on that, where we are looking at partners to really invest in building solutions to integrate with Workday platform. Second, we are also working with partners to build solution on Workday platform to increase adoption, accelerate adoption for our customers, and also help them to use the new features and functionalities and the new use cases. And the third part is more around industry solutions. And industry solutions are extremely important, where our partners have invested heavily to build industry solution to address some of the business challenges that our customers have. So all these three things we will continue to invest in as we continue and embark this journey with our partners. At the same time, we are also investing a lot in skills with our partners, certification, and also enabling our partners for success. So those are some of the key things, and we'll continue to invest on that, even in Hong Kong and Taiwan market.
Super. Well, thank you, Sarang. That's awesome. It's really all about driving successful outcomes, and that's where Workday and all our partners are really, really investing to make sure that we provide the right infrastructure, the right ecosystem, the right skills, so that our customers and the market generally benefits from this ecosystem. Anirban, I'm going to move to you, and I've heard Sarang, Raghu talked about innovation as well. Right. Part of innovation is in connecting different disciplines across an organization. And I'm kind of going towards, the benefits that companies usually experience from implementing a unified platform for HR and finance. Can you make that real for us in terms of what that means, the advantages of that, and how does that get implemented in a company?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be in Hong Kong and to be part of this event. So having a single unified platform with HR and finance all together, I'd say the top three benefits or advantages, one would be agility. In today's changing world, you need to make decisions faster, and you have to ensure that the system is helping and providing you with analytics and data to drive decisions faster. So having one unified world where HR and finance system is truly in one platform, which is very tightly integrated, gives you that agility to make some of those decisions and make the change faster, minimizing disruption. The second, I would say, is around insights. And I think Raghu talked about it. We heard a lot about how Workday brings in insights which are real-time and just a click of button.
Yeah.
So having HR and finance, again, in one system where you can get insights about how is the expense by different cost centers, how is revenue impacted, and what type of skills would you have to invest on in order to accelerate revenue. So having HR and finance, again, in one platform would allow you these insights which enable you real-time decision-making. The third, which comes in my mind, is around the whole thing around efficiency. Having both systems together, HR, finance, with planning, and then powered by machine learning, gives you immense advantage around efficiency. Currently, we have seen clients which are closing the books on earlier without Workday system or without having integrated platform. They were closing the books in the 15th business day or 20th business day of the month, but having an integrated platform is allowing them to close it in the 7th or the 8th business day of the month. And think about the power it gives you that. So then you can not just predict what are the actions you need to take based on the performance of the last month or last quarter. You can drive some of those decisions much faster. The last which comes in my mind is around cost. Definitely, if you have one unified system, it gives you the advantage of lowering the cost burden. You have one single platform to manage. The analytics is all within one system. So definitely, that's a big advantage. And I must say that Workday does, the cost of licensing and subscription is tremendously low when you go with one unified platform.
Thank you for that plug. That was very helpful. Thank you, Anirban. Look, a lot of benefits to having that one platform to manage the most important assets of a company, which are its people and its money. And as everybody's heard, cost, agility, there's a lot of benefits. Michael, moving to you. Now, a unified platform is only as good as the data in it. Like, data is the new currency. We heard data is the new oil that powers this entire engine and this platform. Can you share any best practices around how unified data systems have been deployed and what benefits companies might see from just having that, the investment in data?
Yeah, wow, where to start? First, absolutely, data is indeed the new currency. I think some of the best practices, what I would observe based on our clients is start with what you're trying to report on. Start with exactly what you're trying to learn. What are some of the key metrics that are relevant for today? Looking at your inventory of reporting and analytics and how you made decisions, throughout the legacy of the organization may not necessarily be the best way to help mine unified data system. It needs to be aligned with the strategy. It needs to be aligned with what the leaders down from really senior levels down to execution to make day-to-day decisions. That, for me, is perhaps the number one, is what are you trying to make sense out of? Oftentimes, data is mined and it's harvested and it's beautiful within the Workday application where everything is unified. You don't have redundant data. Everything is tied together. But then oftentimes what happens is, what exactly am I what story am I trying to say? What decisions am I actually trying to make? Secondarily, governance and ownership.
Yep.
Who owns the data? Who's going to continue to maintain this? Who's going to actually understand this, and how do you work that throughout the entire organization? Health and hygiene is another. The upkeep of the data. So those, the governance, the ownership, the accountability, what you're trying to report, and also I'd say the hygiene are the three critical things. Some of the benefits that's really come out of this with organizations that have done this successfully is, I think we really underscore speed. And that is, it's just wonderful to see one of our clients that when they're having their investor calls, and the chief investment officer sitting in front with just an iPad, being able to answer questions on the fly. No one's prepared any reports. No one's prepared anything else. He's just being able to actually access the information right there and then to be able to answer those questions. Powered by Workday, by the way.
Yeah.
So I just think that speed and the ability to really interact, and also the other thing that we talked about, a lot of topic is around AI.
Yep.
Beyond the AI and the amazing innovation within Workday, each organization probably have their own AI initiatives. Harvest data that's within their organization. Without, some of the benefits that we have seen is with unified data that's marrying multiple disciplines, finance, HR, procurement, in fact, even other sales data, perhaps through Prism, they're able to actually execute their AI strategy a lot better. So I think that that probably are the key things.
No, thank you. I think I picked up a new acronym as you were speaking, GOA, Governance, Ownership, and Accountability. So I'm going to remember that for data. That's awesome. Thank you, Michael. Anirban, anything you'd like to add on data, especially as it relates to the platform and the comments earlier?
Sure. I think Michael covered great points.
Yeah.
Data truly is the new currency. If we see the power of AI and ML and what it can do, is just tremendous. Within Workday, you have functionalities where you can even predict attrition.
Yeah.
Or you can take measures to prevent that attrition. Now think about the power of being proactive rather than reactive when an attrition happens. Or look at scenarios where you know which segments of your business are doing good, and then it is predicting what type of skills is required, and then you create a hiring strategy and plan related based on that data. So the ability of leveraging the data and converting that into real-time analytics and driving decisions definitely is very empowering. And again, coming back, having HR, payroll, finance all in one platform enables you a lot of faster decision-making.
Super. Thank you, Anirban. That's amazing. No conversation on data at scale, data across HR, finance, systems is ever complete without a conversation on AI. And I know, Michael, you alluded to it, and we've heard in the morning, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and there's more conversation in the tracks that we'll go through. But Karen, to you. Just as companies go through all of these conversations, what are you picking up from customer conversations on considerations that they should think about on artificial intelligence, machine learning, and how that bakes into strategy as well as implementation of their systems?
Yeah, so I think as I have alluded on earlier, that how we can embed in agile concept, for example, from the whole hiring, retention, learning to even retire process in HR, or even in finance, how do we pick up better data for predictive analytics? for how do we actually get better insights from the finance. So having a unified platform definitely helps. And actually, it builds on the foundation, as Michael also highlighted, that data is very, very important. So if we don't have the trusted, secure data we can draw on, it's very hard for us to build on that AI at scale model, basically. And also, in a sense that the governance, not just only in data and also in AI, also increasingly getting more attention and importance. How do we make it transparent, the model, to make it to show fairness, which is also a lot of questions people have, how they could trust the recommendations from the AI in the end. That needs to some answers for, but definitely we need to show that governance and also the skill set and culture in the organization as well. So some recent research we have done also show that we're predicting by 2025, more than 40% of the skill set in our current organization talent framework has to be updated. Because the pace of the skills requires a lot of changes as well as all the technology and the world is changing. So how do we keep up with that and having a culture that how do we agile and in a fast manner to adopt all this as well? So I think those are some of the critical items as we see how we build along that AI at scale journey. As we said, a holistic operating model, data, process, people, system like Workday, a unified platform, and also the data and governance of it will be quite critical as we look into this.
Yeah. Plus a solid culture to wrap it all up. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Karen. Jonathan, anything to add on to the AI and ML story? And
I started off with saying that we are all change ambassadors.
Yes.
I also think that we are all responsible stewards of AI and ML, especially when it comes to time of the governance. We're not quite there yet, but we are at a massive inflection point. And a lot of fear, is it going to take over my job? Not there, quite there yet with deep learning, but embracing that and understand the governance around that. So I think Paul talked about the defense and offense, right? And we're all trying to make sure the risk and compliance are good. That's important. But we also need to be more entrepreneurial, use case by use case, to experiment and try to celebrate the successes along the way. But that requires this healthy tension. Because if we don't govern the AI and machine learning, it will start governing you. And I think that's the biggest fear. So we all can take these steps forward, out of the box, what comes with Workday, and then look at other things you can do. But it's really a continuous improvement mindset. You never quite get there completely, but take a step at a time and celebrate those achievements along the way.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Look, I think there's many dimensions that I would have liked to have double-clicked into with such an eminent panel, but I think that's probably the time that we have for today. I hope all of you in the audience found this useful, and hopefully we were able to provide you a little bit more value than ChatGPT might have. So there's still the power in the human that I think we need to take advantage of. Thank you all of you for joining. Thank you all of you for being here, and enjoy the rest of Elevate. Thank you, everyone.